Why? 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 Why?
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Sabrina Talks. I'm Sabrina. If you're new, if you're not, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're doing well. Now, on today's episode of Sabrina Talks, we are going to be discussing Disney's recent live action remakes that they've been doing for the past 5 years. So, with the recent release of Mulan that just happened, I kind of wanted to talk about some of the other remakes that they've been doing and what they kind of did right, what they kind of did wrong, and what they still kind of did okay with. So the live action remakes that I'm talking about, if you don't know, are movies that used to be Disney animated classics, but now they have real life actors playing the animated characters as opposed to just voice actors, and they have, real life sets, and everything is not animated essentially, except for one movie, but besides the point. The list of Disney remakes that they have done so far: they've done Dumbo, they've done Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Peach Dragon. So they've done a fair amount of live action remakes. I'll be talking about 3 specific movies in this episode today. We'll be talking about Cinderella, we'll be talking about Aladdin, and we will be talking about The Lion King. I specifically chose those movies because growing up I used to watch the animated ones a whole lot. I know for a fact I had the Lion King VHS. I definitely used to watch Aladdin all the time, and Cinderella is Cinderella. As much as I didn't like princesses back when I was a child, it's a classic Disney movie that's just always going to be on, so I obviously was watching it a lot as a child. First, I want to kick it off with talking about what they didn't do well, and a movie that I think exemplifies what they don't do well with their live action remakes is The Lion King. The Lion King came out in 2019 and was directed by Jon Favreau. It stars actors like Donald Glover, Beyonce, James Earl Jones, Seth Rogen, as well as many others. This movie, as it was expected to make a lot of money, surely did. Domestically, meaning in the US, it made about $500 million, and then internationally it made about $1 billion. So obviously people went to see this movie. Everybody was relatively excited, I think. I'll get to that later. For the most part, everybody was just really curious to see how Disney was going to top one of their most famous movies of all time. I want to talk about my feelings towards the movie. So when it first initially announced, I was like, one, why? Why are we redoing The Lion King? The Lion King as an animated movie was already fantastic, world-renowned, incredible. We didn't need to modernize it and enhance it or whatever. We could have just done without it, but whatever. And then the trailer came out and I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like this. I don't think I'm going to like this. And, I didn't go to the theaters to watch this because I knew I already wasn't going to be 100% a fan of it, so I didn't really want to waste my money to go see it. So I watched it, I believe, when it was on Disney Plus or when it was on Redbox, one of those things. And I was right on my opinions when I first saw the trailer. I surely didn't like this movie. Granted, it's still The Lion King. The story of The Lion King is a great story. That's not changing because they changed, the animation style. If you haven't seen the trailers for The Lion King or the actual Lion King movie, the 2019 version, you should know that The Lion King is not technically live action. It doesn't involve real animals. However, it's still animated because it uses computer graphics and such, but the animals in the movie, instead of looking like their cartoon self from the original, they look like real live animals. Everybody looks photorealistic and it's crazy. I must say, as much as I don't fully like this movie, everything is stunning. Them animators, they did a fantastic job. I mean, just impeccable talent. I know they must have took so much work to get everything to look so realistic, but with it being so realistic, it takes away a lot from the movie. Because with the OG animated movie, everybody was cartoonish, so they had made, real expressive faces and funny faces that animals technically would not do in real life. But in the 2019 version of The Lion King, they make the faces that animals would make in real life. And that, to me, does not express emotion as much as it should. And that is my biggest gripe with this movie. And technically what I think Disney does not do well with their live action remakes, they kind of always end up taking away the personality of the film. So with this, you know, things are really cute because all of the animals look real, but you don't feel the same emotions that you would as if you were watching the OG original one. All the songs are essentially still pretty great from the original. Obviously, you know, there's different people singing it this time, so it doesn't, you know, hit the same. But for the most part, it's still really good. Back to the main problem of why The Lion King exemplifies what Disney doesn't do well is the fact that even when the animals are singing said songs, I don't feel nothing. I feel joy because I know these songs and I'm picturing the classic, you know, animated movie while I'm singing along, but watching that scene doesn't give me the same kind of joy because the animals don't really look all that joyful. Yeah, they're like doing joyous movements whenever they're singing, but it's in such a stiff way, I guess you can say, that I can't fully get into it. And even with like the most impactful, you know, moment of the movie, the climax of the movie, when I was watching it for the first time, I felt nothing. Like, I was like, this is really sad because an animal is getting hurt, but it doesn't give me that same shock and sadness that the original did because you can't see all of the emotions on their face. Their eyes, I will have to say, you can definitely tell some emotion from the animal's eyes, but like in the original animated classic, the whole face and body is emulating an emotion, and with the 2019 version, it just doesn't come across as well as the original. So I said The Lion King kind of shows what Disney doesn't do well with their live action remakes. Let's talk about their like middle ground of things that they do well with but also still doesn't do well with. And I want to talk about the Aladdin for this middle ground section. The live action version of Aladdin came out in 2019 and is directed by Guy Ritchie. It stars Will Smith as the genie, Naomi Scott as Jasmine, and Mina Massoud. I don't know if I'm saying that man's name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. But he plays Aladdin. Like The Lion King, this also grossed about $1 billion internationally and about $400 million domestically. Now, unlike The Lion King, I was slightly more interested in seeing how they would do the live action version of Aladdin. So since the story of Aladdin focuses on humans, I figured they couldn't do too bad of a job because actors in hindsight should be able to emote very clearly on their face and with their body. So I figured they can't do too bad with this. I was technically right, at least in my opinion. They didn't do too bad with this movie. I thought it was fine, but there's some sections of this movie that I just can't get with. But like with The Lion King, this movie just didn't have enough personality for me. Like Will Smith, who plays the genie, I feel like he really carries this movie and makes it more enjoyable than it would be. And in like hindsight, I feel like Robin Williams did the same with the original movie, but I think even without Robin Williams, the original Aladdin still had a great amount of personality and charm to it. But this 2019 version, it doesn't feel as charming and as personable as the original movie. But I will say with this movie, unlike The Lion King, it definitely adds some scenes and it adds some more depth to some of the characters. So like the character Jasmine in the original movie, she's just kind of there. She just kind of doesn't want to be trapped in the castle, which fair. But with this Jasmine in the 2019 version, she definitely has more agency. She wants to be sultan or the king and the one in charge of their kingdom. She definitely has more feministic values to her character as opposed to like the original one. And I believe she has 2 more like original songs that have been added to the movie, which are pretty good. Like, they're not the best. They're definitely not something I'm gonna be singing post me watching the movie, but they're fine. I think Naomi Scott does a wonderful job as Jasmine. She's probably like the second best character underneath the genie. Everybody else, I don't know, they just all seem kind of stiff and stale. No offense to the actor who does Aladdin. I think he did a pretty good job. He's not as charming as like the original Aladdin. To me, it's just, it's not bad. It's not like The Lion King where I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore. But it's still like, which is why I place this movie in the middle ground, because it's still good because they added new things to it, they added some new songs, and it's generally okay, but it's still bad in a sense because it still lacks what Disney tends not to do well with these remakes, is personality. Also, like in The Lion King, Scar and Jafar in this movie, neither one of them are all that menacing. None of them really scare me as if I was watching like the original. Granted, I was a child when I was watching the original, so both of them really kind of scared me, but no one's giving me like really ooh evil vibes. In the remake, Jafar just kind of seems like a rude man who wants kind of some power, but in the original, Jafar looks evil, seems evil, acts evil, really gives you that full like I'm an evil man wanting power. With all that negativity out the way, let's talk about a movie that I think they did well with their live action remake, and that is Cinderella. This version of Cinderella came out in 2015 and it's directed by Kenneth Branagh. I don't know how to say that man's name, but it stars Lily James, it stars Richard Madden from Game of Thrones, and it stars Cate Blanchett. This movie didn't do as well as The Lion King and Aladdin. It only made about $540 million internationally, so it wasn't as successful, which is funny because I think this is one of their better remakes that they've done. I think they did a really good job of giving more depth to these characters, because in the original Cinderella movie, the 1950s one, I mean, most of it was kind of focusing on some of the animals. You kind of get a brief, you know, narrative of Cinderella at the beginning of the movie, but that's probably about it. You kind of know some of the stepsisters and the evil stepmom and whatever, and the prince. You basically know nothing about the prince in the original movie besides the fact that he's a prince and he's coming to town. But the 2019 version, they definitely give a lot more screen time with the prince. We get to know the stepsisters, we get to know the stepmom, we definitely get to know Cinderella and her two parents. I know in the original they just kind of mentioned the mom died, the dad eventually died, and then Cinderella's by herself. But in the movie, you get to see her with her mom, you get to see her hanging out with her dad, and then you get to see life after the mom dies, and then, you know, follows the storyline of Cinderella. In the 2019 version, it's not a musical as how the original was. Cinderella does sing, but it's not like singing to camera kind of singing. It's just like I'm cleaning my house and singing, if that makes sense. You hear the infamous songs from Cinderella, but they're more in the score of the music instead of like anybody actually singing it. I think they did a great job of managing it in a way where it's not like, dang, I really miss these songs, but you usually during the parts where they would have the song, the score kind of just helps you with that feeling and gets you, you know, kind of humming along. The fact that they didn't make this version of Cinderella a shot-for-shot remake of the original one is why I kind of put this in what Disney does well, because they added more depth to the characters, they added a little more pizzazz, and they definitely modernized this story, but they kept the same plot points, they kept the same characteristics of Cinderella, of her cleaning and being nice and good with animals, and they kept like the bluebirds and the color schemes. Everything's essentially Cinderella, but it's done in a way that's slightly different from the original, which is good. This is why we make remakes, because we need something different from the original, or what was the point of us watching the remake if it's the same as the original, you know what I mean? So to wrap up this video, I want to talk about my overall thoughts on the Disney live action remakes and what I see for the future of these remakes, because it's Disney. They're not going to stop doing these things. My main gripe with these live action remakes is, one, why are we doing it? Why do we need to rehash old movies? Why can't we just make original movies? Disney has enough money. Disney practically owns everything nowadays. They can afford to get the best writers, the best directors, the best of everything to make an original movie. So I don't see the purpose in remaking all of these Disney classics when they were classics in their right. They can stay classics. Now I'll accept if they want to do what they kind of do with like Maleficent or Christopher Robin, where they take stories from their original older properties, but they twist it in a way that's different. I feel like if Disney's going to take the time and the energy and the effort into talking about these older stories, let's throw something new at it. My other biggest gripe is, in doing these remakes, who are we trying to appeal to? Because inherently, I know you're trying to appeal to the people who know these movies because you know they're going to go see it, because you know that they love it. They're pandering to the millennial crowd because, one, we thrive off of nostalgia, because the world we're currently in is a hot mess, so we're keep trying to go to the past. And yeah, you know, they're trying to really hone in on that and make sure we buy everything from the past by catering to us and doing it in a way where it just doesn't justify the need for these movies. You're inherently just making us upset, which now makes us not want to watch or buy these movies. And I know they're not doing it for the kids, because to me, kids love cartoons. Take away the cartoon aspect of a show, kids are less likely going to want to watch it. I mean, to me, Disney could have just took the time, remastered it, put like a beautiful coat of HD onto it, and sell the DVDs in that way. I don't think it would have made as much money, but it still made a decent amount of money, because, you know, parents who want to show their kids these classic movies can now do it in a more updated version of it so these kids can be interested in it. But what do I know? I'm not a Disney executive. We know Disney's just going to keep making these remakes because people are spending the money to go watch them. But to me, I feel like they just need to be more selective in which movies they decide to remake. Cinderella works because for the most part, everybody knows the story of Cinderella. You can do a lot of the emoting that's in Cinderella with real people because none of the emotions are really crazy. So I feel like Cinderella works in that way, but you can get away with doing a live action version of Aladdin, but if you don't do it properly, it's gonna end up how it ended up with. It's just like being like, okay. But I feel like with some of the other ones, if they're gonna go with a real animal heavy one, they should just leave it alone. Don't touch it. Don't do nothing with it. If it's more human-based stories, I feel like they have a better chance of doing a remake of it, but like I said, they gotta have a reason for this remake. Now let's talk about the future of their live-action movies. Mulan, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, Mulan just recently came out. I have yet to watch Mulan, and I'm not going to watch it until December because I'm not paying $30 to watch Mulan when I could just watch the original for free. I'm not doing it. From what I've been seeing from the reviews, people are saying that Mulan doesn't follow some of the same characteristics as the Mulan in the original one, so that's kind of I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen Mulan, so I can't form an official opinion on it, but from what I'm seeing, it seems like it falls into that middle ground area where they're doing some things right, but they're not fully getting what the animation would give you. But Disney still has The Little Mermaid that's supposed to be coming out next year, maybe, or sometime in the future. That features Halle Bailey from the R&B duo Chloe and Halle. So I feel like sonically, we might be going somewhere because Halle has a beautiful voice. So her singing the songs from Little Mermaid, I imagine to be beautiful. Now, whether or not the live action will be good, I don't know. The Little Mermaid falls into a mixture of a category where it has, you know, animals, but the story mainly is about two humans. So it's like, what are you going to put more focus on? Are you going to let the animals kind of be like they were in the live action remake of Cinderella, where they're there, but they're just making animal sounds and they're not really talking? Or are they going to be like Lion King, where they're talking, but they just look like real animals? I don't know. Maybe come next year when, you know, they can film again and do all the promotion and editing and stuff. Maybe then we'll see what they actually do with The Little Mermaid and which category it ends up falling in. Until then, that about wraps up my video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel about Disney's live action remakes, which ones you've seen, your thoughts and opinions on the one that you've seen. You know, just talk to me down in the comments, or just talk to me on social media. You can follow me there. On Instagram, my name is _being Sabrina_, and on Twitter, my name is Sabrina Talks too. As always, I appreciate if you guys would like this video, subscribe to my channel, share my video, talk to me down in the comments. I hope that you will join me for my next video. Please be safe, be smart, and be kind, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.